Hi family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? Won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit to talk a little bit about us protecting our progress. What do you mean, Phie? During our journey of transformation, when we transition into from one place to another state of being, through my own personal experience, and I know others go through it as well, and I know it's something that a lot of people at the same time right now simultaneously are going through as well, because of the raising energies of our earth and everything that's happening. So it's causing a little bit of a involuntary purging to happen among the human collective that some might be aware of and some might not, right? But I know that a lot of what some people are struggling with and might find themselves frustrated with sometimes during their processes to protect their progress. It's difficult. It's one of the hardest parts of this transformation process that we're going through to ascend into higher vibrations, is to protect our progress, because generally, many people consciously or unconsciously better the devil right? Somehow in our minds and because of our habits and whatever it might be, we tend to think that there is security in our past. We tend to think that there is security and there is balance in what we've come from, even if what we've come from is the very reason that we decided to change, right? It's not easy standing alone in your change when there are people and things in your environment that aren't changing. But that's why as well we need to get familiar with ourselves. We need to get familiar with the feeling of our urges. We need to get familiar with our ego. We need to get familiar with our fears so that we can recognize when they start aggravating certain aspects of ourselves and not just give in and react to them or even respond to them, but rather move into a place where we're observing them. You're craving to go back, maybe you start having heavy cravings to go back into an old habit. If you take a moment to breathe, there's nothing in your environment that is rushing you other than some sort of feeling that you might be experiencing on the inside. A trigger, a thought. Maybe someone on the outside aggravated you. Instead of reacting, get to know yourself. Take a breath. Move into observation mode, not of the outside world, but observation of yourself. Someone you've decided to cut off. A really good telltale sign to know that the Most High and the Divine is working on you, right, is when you go through certain periods of time where there's a big purging of people in your life. That is one of the biggest signs to know that you're being prepared for something in your future. You're being prepared for somebody new. You're being prepared for an idea that might be coming through. Your way is being cleared. Any kinds of things that might be a hindrance to you comfortably and naturally embodying and existing in a new state of a higher way and of a higher vibration. Generally, over a span of time, those adjustments in your life will happen. And I know I've touched on some of these things in some way, shape, or form in the past. But today we're taking it from the perspective of us protecting our progress, right? So pay attention. If you find yourself, responding to the imposing family member, to the mother who's overbearing, to the mother who's always got you in a state of being triggered and reactive, and you haven't taken the time to go within and really question, why have I got such a reactive relationship with my mother? In many cases, people don't even realize that their mothers need them to be in that reactive state so that their mothers can control them, so that their mothers can get their way. I'm not bashing mothers. I'm just pointing out a fact. Some things are there. We tend to underestimate how certain family members actually recognize and understand our ways and how to get their way around, and also maneuver their ways with us more than we do. People on the outside are more aware of us than we are aware of ourselves. And that's something we're not ever really fully aware of and cognizant over, because we're engaged in our outside experience. We're not engaged with ourselves, right? So say you've learned to stand your ground with your mother, who's naturally, puts you into a reactive state, pushes against your boundaries. How else can I explain? Pushes against your boundaries, has always something to say maybe about a decision you've made, a direction you're going in, a direction you want to go in, a choice that you've made. And you might find, if you look back over time, even if you've made a small change now, this is just an example, you might have made a small change and you might have been able to stick to the change for some time. Maybe you've had your mother out of your space for some time. But again, the universe tests us. We get relaxed, and the cycle will come around again to test us, to help us build our energy, and the choice will always be there. Are you going to choose a path of peace, which will, progress you in your process of transformation and transition? Or are you going to choose the path of chaos? There's always those two choices when it comes to those kinds of situations. And to become self-aware, to recognize the patterns in your engagements with people, or like for this example, your mother, right? Is there fear? Is it something that has, been and become an unconscious thing because it's a dynamic between the two of you that's been there since your childhood? A reactive energy, a reactive dynamic, a reactive relationship. And somehow you find yourself, and this isn't just with mothers, I'm telling you, it can be baby mamas. It's not something so much that you find with men, but I know that, female figures have a tendency to put their children or their partners into a state of being reactive. And that reactive energy is, whether it's conscious or unconscious, is used as a bit of a manipulation and controlling mechanism. And over time, your soul gets sick and tired of being violated. Your conscious mind might not interpret it that way, but your soul is violated by those things. And over time, your soul also says, I have enough. And when you get to that enough point is when you start making the changes, when you start learning to stand in your power and not react, not respond, not be afraid of what comes after you not responding, but simply choosing yourself and allowing somebody to be who they are. But sometimes we get relaxed, right? We're not always on top of the ball, we're not always aware, and the person on the outside of us who the universe is probably using and has positioned in a way to help us train ourselves out of a certain dynamic or way of being, they get the better of us. And before we know it, we're back into an old cycle again, where we're arguing, we're trying to, prove our point, we're giving our power over, not even realizing that, you know what, all I have to do is be quiet. All I have to do is observe myself. All I have to do is not be afraid of what happens on the other side of this engagement after I've decided to just be in my power and remain silent. At the end of it, I've maintained myself, I've maintained my energy, I've maintained my dignity. And the other person is left to deal with, whatever it is that they need to deal with. The universe is concerned with you protecting your progress. If you've learned to hold your power, if you've learned to be silent, if you've learned to stand your ground, if you've learned to train others, or if you've started learning how to train others into recognizing that no is a full sentence, it's up to you to protect that progress. It's the smallest things, right? Recognize as well. You always have an option to participate in something or not. Never think that you're just a victim to your circumstances. Never think that you're just a victim to your environment or to the people that you have yourself surrounded with. You're not. One of the main rules of us existing in this universe, one of the things we've been given that give us the most power, that we should also just exercise in the most simplest aspects of our lives and our engagements with people and ourselves, is recognizing that in every single situation, we have the choice to participate or not to participate. It's up to us to be observant of ourselves and recognize, what is it within me that drives me into participation? What is it within me that makes me unconscious about the fact that I have a choice to participate or not? You have a choice to participate in your old habits and your old ways. You have a choice to participate in conversations and arguments and in whatever it might be. Everything you have the choices with you to participate or not to participate. And once you recognize that and take it to the point of seeing that, okay, well, that means I'm accountable for everything that happens in my outside world. I've chosen to participate. I had the choice not to. What within me has made me afraid to not participate? What have I been groomed into? What urges do I have taken over me that, make me feel like I don't have power, like I don't have a choice? When I've always had the choice, but maybe there are other factors that overpower my ability to recognize that I have a choice to participate or not to participate, to protect my progress, to say no. Something to think about, huh? Well, I could go on and on. I could. And I think there's so much to say on this. But yeah, family, I really just hope that if you've started making your changes, know that, the divine is here. Whoever comes across the video, using me to encourage you, using me to let you know, okay, well, find that thing you have that helps you regulate yourself above your ego and your emotions. Find the thing that matters more. What is it that encouraged you before? What matters? What mattered more, and what matters more today? What mattered more when you decided to make your decision in the past to change, to do something else, to release people, places, things, to choose yourself? What mattered more and what matters more today? Don't fall back, fall forward, okay? And then you get up, and if you slip up, that's okay, as long as you're aware. Don't pull yourself into shame, because shame is also one of the weapons the system uses to have us, work against ourselves. Don't fall into shame. Recognize that, you know what, maybe I fell back a little bit. Tomorrow is a new day, and I will try again. And you know what, I'll try not to disappoint myself. It's not about anybody on the outside of me. Don't disappoint yourself. Okay? I hope it's resonated. And stay on your lane. Stay in your lane. Stay in your wagon. Okay? Don't look left. Don't look right. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Okay? I'm going to pull a card or two. Okay? And see what Spirit has to support our conversation. I'm pulling today from Flower Therapy. Okay? Dorian Virtue. To see what Spirit has to support our conversation, or give whoever's watching the video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay? May I have one card, please, Spirit? Please have one card. Okay, there you go. Open your arms to receiving. And the card says, you've prayed for help, now be open to accepting it. Again, I think I've mentioned this before in the past. Ask Spirit to support you. Ask Spirit to help you commit. Okay, you can write it down, write a letter to Spirit, or even just ask within your heart when you're making your changes. Ask Spirit to make you aware. Ask Spirit to, help you stay committed. Ask Spirit to help you remain in your higher perspective. And they will. They will. Just be aware that it's happening. Whatever that thought is in your mind that is pulling you towards, staying true to yourself and committing to the decisions you've made for your betterment, that's Spirit. The other voice is the other thing that, is the one you need to train yourself against, that pulls you to go back, whether it's an old habit, an old boyfriend, an old girlfriend, an old way of being and thinking. Whatever pulls you in the direction that you know isn't good for you, Spirit will let you know, but you have to pay attention, and you have to be willing to receive, especially if you've asked for it. Okay? Let's see what the book has to say. Open your arms to receiving. There we go. The book says, praying for guided assistance is only one part of manifesting a miracle. Manifesting requires us to embody the energy and the experience first, by way of changing and by way of aligning to the experience. And through that process of us elevating and changing and embodying first the experience, you find yourself living in it eventually, and you've manifested it then into your physical realm. It's one thing seeing people who have built up the material image of something that you wish you had. You don't know if it's just a facade, or if they've placed all kinds of people who maybe might not even be aligned to what it is they're trying to hold up in the facade they're trying to put forward, right? Whereas when you're manifesting something, the divine takes you through a process of embodying it first, taking you through experiences that teach you how to manage your money, how to value certain things, how to manage and maintain and keep and value a foundation that you've built to keep something that you see somebody else have in your life in place. Okay? The second involves you being able to accept the blessings that the angels bring. Drawing this card means you may have a resistance to receiving help from others, including God. Please understand that there are no special rewards for completing a task on your own. Again, that's something we've been groomed into by the system, right? Thinking we need to be rewarded for everything. We need to be given, the end of everything that we do needs to be rewarded with some exhilarating or some dopamine or adrenaline filled experience. That's something we also need to train ourselves out of, right? This reward system that we've all gotten caught up into and become disappointed and just no longer encouraged in continuing because we are trained into wanting rewards for everything. Please understand that there are no special rewards for completing a task on your own. You receive just as much experience when you accept help. Therefore, it only makes sense to call on all the assistance you can muster. Consider how wonderful it feels when you give to others. Now allow others to experience that joy for themselves. I also have a problem with receiving, but I'm learning. I'm learning. It's also, giving. It's allowing someone else a blessing to bless you, right? Make it well known that you're open to receiving all the blessings the angels have for you. You can say a prayer such as, "Dearest angels, I thank you for your constant and unconditional support. I am willing to receive all of the love, guidance, and healing that you have for me. Please shower me with your gifts and blessings as I am now ready to receive my miracles." Additional meanings to this card. Remember to ask for what you want. Be direct and be specific, okay? You're the only one who's been programmed into limitation. The universe doesn't recognize limitation, okay? You're in the presence of attracting amazing opportunities. That's nice. I think I'll just stay with that card today, okay? Anyway, family, I hope this has resonated and I haven't rambled too much. It's actually one of the shorter videos I've done, which is amazing, to be honest with you. But yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video, family.